This injury report this week, Pat, was really lengthy. I wouldn't go as far as say concerning just yet, but can you give us an update on everybody if you can? But at least the main situations here, and then let me know if there's some light at the end of the tunnel for a guy like Tyron Smith.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to actually, we want to play volleyball a little bit here because I'm driving.
Gotcha.
But I'm going to go down the list as much as I can, and then anybody I miss, just throw them back at me, and I'll give you the update. So let's start with the more pressing of all of them. Obviously, let's say Michael Parsons. Michael Parsons banged up his knee and ankle in the win over the Patriots. He said he's good to go. He said it now several times. I had some conversations around the building, and Michael Parsons is indeed good to go. Great news for the Cowboys, to say the least. Zach Martin had a quad issue in that same game. Zach Martin he was limited yesterday, which is good news because, he participated at all. Then at least it shows that there is a very, very strong chance that he's on the field. Obviously, he returned last week from that rolled ankle. Cowboys are going to definitely need him and Tyler Biadasz, and both are expected to be on the field as long as nothing worsens with Zach Martin. Keeping to the offensive line, Tyron Smith. It sounded real 50-50 right now. Talking to people around the building, and just yesterday the expectation was that Tyron would be limited in practice, but he never made it that far. So he got through the rehab group, and then they basically said, okay, that's it for today. Now, I will say this, being the caveat, Thursday obviously is a ramp-up day for the Cowboys. If Tyron Smith does anything at all in practice, then it will be a positive sign. But I don't like the air around that one, and that would be disappointing if he can't take the field, if he cannot take the field. But it's still very much wait and see, touch and go with Tyron Smith. We'll see how that goes. Peyton Hendershot missed last week with an ankle injury that cropped up on last Friday. Sean McEwen was elevated in his absence. He did not participate. Hendershot yesterday in practice. I don't know what he's going to do today. We'll find out on that. Malik Hooker cropped up with a shoulder injury, but he was limited. So it looks like that's just something that he's working through. It's not the first thing that he's worked through this week. And I talked to him yesterday, and he sounds like he's in very good spirits. I don't foresee any issues with Malik Hooker. But again, we still have several days before the game, so let's make sure that he stays that way before we put anything on there. Rico Dowdle, he did not participate yesterday in practice, but his hip injury is a hip contusion, so no structural damage, negative x-rays, the MRI was positive. And the reason you say that, for those that don't remember, it's big news because a hip injury is what put him on IR for the entirety of the 2021 season.
Yeah, I was nervous.
So when he left that game on Sunday, in the third quarter and was immediately ruled out, and it was a hip injury, I sat back in my seat and shook my head and literally said, please, not this again. And I talked to Rico in the locker room right after the game, and he was all smiles. He said the x-rays were negative, MRI was the next day. So positive outlook on Rico. But if he can't go this week, expect Malik Davis to get that elevation. Who am I missing? Chuma Doga, he was on the injury report, but he was full. The rest of the guys, with the exception of Damone Clark's shoulder injury, he was limited. Sounds like they're just being precautious with him. And then the other guys were just veteran rest days, from Jonathan Hankins to DeMarcus Lawrence, CeeDee Lamb, Stephon Gilmore. I mean, they had a lot of veterans getting an off day yesterday. So unless I missed someone, unless I missed my guess, I think that's everybody.
I think you got everybody. One last thing here. I'm just curious. What does NIR rest/knee mean for Lamb? Because if it's not injury related, why did they add knee to the?
Yeah, that's weird. It's kind of a technicality, which is weird. I think if the way the NFL demands the injury report be set up is that if a guy has any kind of pain, ideally the NFL wants that to be on the injury report. Now, you and I both know that's not realistic because guys play with pain all the time, and if it were held to that standard, then everybody's injury report by week 8 would read like the
whole team,
right? So, yeah, the whole team, everybody's entire team. So I think that's just one of those things where CeeDee Lamb was going to get the day off yesterday for rest anyway, just as he did last Wednesday. But then going through the medical, they said, hey, is there anything at all? And he said, hey, yeah, this. And they're like, okay, throw that on there. But if it were truly injury-related, then they would not have been able to use NIR, which is not injury-related. So that's how you take that away. If you ever see NIR, like with Zach Martin, for example, that NIR tells you that it doesn't matter what he was dealing with, he was going to be rested, get a good bit of rest anyway. That was the last week designation. So you'll see kind of how that plays out politics-wise, but there's no concern on CeeDee Lamb.
Gotcha.
I mean, he's ready to go. I talked to him yesterday a couple of times, and, he's just flashing the pearly whites. He's ready to get to San Francisco.
That is the Injury Spotlight presented by OSMI. OSMI provides arthroscopic and robotic-assisted orthopedic surgery, foot and ankle surgery, sports medicine, physical therapy, and a ton more. Their team of orthopedic specialists have offices in Fort Worth, Decatur, and Mansfield to provide state-of-the-art orthopedic care to the North Texas area. When it comes to medical care, you and your loved ones deserve the best possible experience. So schedule your hassle-free appointment today at osmifw.com.